Hello everyone, my name is Eric Burke, and if you've followed me at all on social media, you know that I am a giant fan of movies. If you follow me on Letterboxd, you'll know that in just 2023 alone, I have watched over 320 films. That means if you were to call me up on any random day this year, there was an 88% chance I had just watched a movie. If you were to narrow down the movies I watched to just 2023 releases, at the time of this upload, I have watched 62 new films that came out in the past 12 months alone. I figured, why not make a video about my top 5 personal favorite movies of 2023? Why top 5? Well, I understand that not everyone is as crazy about cinema as I am. People have lives, dogs, cats, relationships, situationships, careers, kids, and potted plants. It can be hard to manage your time. If you haven't really been to the movies a lot, or you're just looking for something good to watch, here are 5 must-see films that deeply impacted me this year. I'm going to speak briefly about the plot of each film, what makes it so good, and why I think you should watch it. If you would like to see me go more in depth about these films, you can read my full reviews over on Letterboxd. You can find me there at The Burke Nation. And if you ever want to hit me up on any of my other socials, you can follow me over on Instagram and Twitter/X at Eric W. Burke. Links to my socials will be down below in the description. If you'd like to see me do more structured film content on this channel, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. 2023 was a year of wall-to-wall bangers. We got The Iron Claw, Blackberry, The Boy and the Heron, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Creed 3, Barbenheimer, and Five Nights at Freddy's. Between all the exciting releases we got, where do you even begin to choose only 5 movies? Well, you're in luck because you're about to find out what made Eric Burke's cut right now. Number 5. Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Before I even get into this one, I have to acknowledge that animation fans were eating good this year. We got Elemental, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and what very well could be Hayao Miyazaki's last masterpiece. What makes Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse stand above the rest? Directed by Joaquim Dos Santos, Justin K. Thompson, and Kemp Powers, with writing by Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Dave Callahan, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a direct sequel to 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and the second entry in Sony's animated Spider-Verse trilogy. In this installment, we follow friendly neighborhood Spider-Man Miles Morales as he is reunited with his friend Gwen Stacy. Together, our heroes are launched into the multiverse where they encounter the Spider Society, a team of spider people charged with protecting the multiverse's very existence. But when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders and must set out on his own to save those he loves most. When Into the Spider-Verse was released 5 years ago, I didn't think it could be topped. Between the animation, storytelling, and character-driven plot, I thought it stood out in an oversaturated genre in a way that could never again be replicated. Imagine my surprise when the creative team behind Into the Spider-Verse topped themselves with a more fleshed out, more thrilling, more mature sequel with higher stakes, beautiful animation with incredible attention to detail, and insane vocal performances. I don't think anyone would argue with me when I say that we're way beyond superhero fatigue in the current cinema zeitgeist. However, the Spider-Verse films, they're not just about superheroes. They're about people. They're about people who wrestle with trust, free will, personal flaws, and finding meaning in their lives. We really get to watch these characters go on journeys that are both multiversal and personal. The way this film balances spectacular set pieces and quiet emotional moments is just top tier. Across the Spider-Verse isn't just a great superhero film, it's a film that shows us why we love going to the movies. It's also a great sequel that takes previously established characters and puts them in uncomfortable situations, challenging what we knew about them. If Sony can play their cards right and nail the landing on Beyond the Spider-Verse, These three movies are going to go down in history as one of the best cinematic trilogies of all time. You better watch out, Empire Strikes Back. That's all I have to say about that. Number 4, Killers of the Flower Moon. We are so incredibly blessed to be living in a world where Martin Scorsese is still making movies. He's one of the best to ever do it. In Killers of the Flower Moon, he released a masterpiece at 80 years old that is not only one of his best works, but is in my personal top 5 Scorsese movies. Killers of the Flower Moon was adapted by Martin Scorsese and Eric Roth from the non-fiction novel by David Grann, which chronicles the reign of terror the Osage people experienced in 1920s Oklahoma. So this book is actually one of my favorite books of all time, and I think the Osage murders is one of the most overlooked historical events and tragedies in the history of the United States. This book is a gut-wrenching story about greed, hatred, and the worst America has to offer. I was interested to see how Scorsese would adapt the book. In the novel, Molly, who in the film is played by Lily Gladstone, and Tom White, who's played by Jesse Plemons, are arguably the heroes of the whole affair. Scorsese, however, takes the narrative portrayed in the novel and turns it completely on its head, instead choosing to follow the perspective of the villains, Robert De Niro's William Hale and Leonardo DiCaprio's Ernest Burkhart. The end result of this bold choice is an exploration of class exploitation and greed that plays like a more mature version of Gangs of New York, mixed with the existential drama of The Irishman. This tonal change is a big gamble, but it pays off in a big way. Scorsese places an immense amount of trust in the audience. He rarely spells things out or even brings special attention to noteworthy historical figures or even any specific characters. He instead spends this film unraveling a grand conspiracy and letting the weightiness roll over the audience with the inevitability of a steam locomotive. Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone are all fantastic in this. Their performances are completely transformative, and they do some of the best work I've ever seen any of them do. The soundtrack by the band's Robbie Robertson blends traditional, period-appropriate music with electric guitars and a modern panache. Martin Scorsese is a master at the top of his game, and the fact that I saw this 3.5-hour long epic in theaters twice is a testament to how good this movie is. Don't miss this one. Number 3, The Holdovers. Believe it or not, while this movie may look and sound like it was filmed in the 1970s, it actually came out just this year. That little extra layer of stylistic editing adds so much more depth to an already deep movie. I wasn't expecting a movie with such an overtly comedic trailer to land some gut punches and provide some warm and fuzzies too. The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne and written by David Hemmingson, follows a curmudgeonly history professor at a New England prep school who is forced to remain on campus for the holidays to keep an eye on students who are held over at the school and have no home to return to for the Christmas season. This professor soon develops an unlikely bond with one of the boys, a troublemaking nerd from an emotionally distant family, and the school's head cook, who has recently lost her son in Vietnam. These three outsiders come together to create a found family where every member desperately needs something from the others, when they aren't busy tearing each other's throats out. Much like a fine wine, Alexander Payne has matured since his work in Sideways, which is already a great movie. In The Holdovers, Payne takes cues from directors like Wes Anderson, Kenneth Lonergan, Martin Brest, Peter Weir, and Hal Ashby. I dare say Payne has made a modern Christmas movie masterpiece. Also, how rare is it for a movie that truly embodies the themes of Christmas to contain so much alcohol abuse, profanity, and atheism? While the direction, soundtrack, cinematography, editing, writing, and art direction are all astounding, the true star of The Holdovers is the acting performances. Paul Giamatti is a gem of an actor, and if you've ever seen him in a movie and thought, he was good, you're guaranteed access into heaven. Dominic Sessa has a bright future ahead of him. Divine Joy Randolph gives an emotional, memorable performance that I don't see praised enough. These three actors give performances that are mature, profound, and comically sharp. The Holdovers isn't merely a Christmas film that entertains or only explores what Christmas means. It's a film that uses a found family trope to delve into loss, trauma, and loneliness with a lens that is both empathetic and hilarious. This is easily going to become a yearly Christmas watch for me. Number 2, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. As a longtime D&D player, finally a movie that understands what Dungeons and Dragons actually is. I know what you're thinking. Hold on, Eric. This movie is at number 2 in your top 5 of the year. Isn't this a little esoteric? Do I have to be a nerd to understand what this movie is? No. No. You don't have to be a nerd to enjoy this movie. You don't have to read through MCU-length rulebooks in order to understand what's happening on screen. When directors John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein partied up with writers Chris McKay and Michael Giglio, they didn't set out to exposit lore endlessly on the audience. They kept it simple, stupid. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is a film about a charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers who undertake a heist in order to retrieve a lost relic. However, things go dangerously awry when the heroes run afoul of the wrong people. That's it. That's the plot. Emotionally, this film grows so powerful while having incredibly well done spectacle and action. It's like a 90s high adventure film come again. If you miss films like The Mummy or The 13th Warrior, give Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves a chance, even if you have no clue what D&D is. The ensemble cast in this film is on the top of their game, and they have infectious chemistry with each other that bleeds off of the screen. Not only does the writing have an emotional center that makes you care about the characters, but it's hilarious and constantly entertaining. The jokes are phenomenal, and the action is engaging. The best part is, you really feel like you're watching someone's D&D session where the characters mess around with the world, they don't take things too seriously, and everyone prioritizes fun above all else. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is a force to be reckoned with. It's fresh, hopeful, and masterfully executed on every level. I missed swashbuckling action films, and this one fills the void in a way I didn't know I needed. I just hope that if they keep making these movies, they keep the same cast, but have the actors play new characters in each movie. Number 1, Asteroid City. For those of you who know me well, this one might not be a surprise. Anytime I've ever had even the briefest conversation about film, cinema, and movies with anyone, I bring up Wes Anderson. He's a director and writer who I'd argue isn't just one of the best living directors, but one of the best artists of our time. Asteroid City, which Anderson co-wrote with Roman Coppola, is a meta-narrative about a play within a movie. It's an unusual science fiction tale, but as they say, the best science fiction stories aren't about science fiction. They're not about technology, space travel, or even aliens. They're about people. In Asteroid City, we follow a cast of actors staging a play about an isolated desert town hosting a young astronomers gathering. As a gaggle of adolescent brainiacs compete for medals and a $5,000 scholarship, the adults bond over loss in an uncertain future. The actors staging this play also have very little idea as to what they're doing, but they're doing their best. As love blossoms, conspiracies unravel, and extraterrestrial life reveals itself, our ensemble briefly brushes against the connection and purpose that all humans strive for on some level. Speaking of the ensemble, how does Wes Anderson keep getting every single actor in Hollywood to star in his films? And how does he get them to play off of each other so well? This massive cast of stars works like a well-oiled machine playing believable humans in unbelievable circumstances. Anderson does such a great job at establishing a connection between his cast and his audience, and he does it with increasingly larger casts. That is such a rare, rare talent. The trademark, heavily symmetrical Wes Anderson style makes this movie a visual feast to look at. Every frame is so interesting, and all technical aspects of filmmaking are tightly woven together in a symphony of creativity. The way Anderson is able to juxtapose the highest of the comedic with the lowest of the tragic so effectively is completely singular. I can't think of another filmmaker who can have me laughing hysterically at scenes where a heartbroken, despondent father tells his little kids that he's been hiding the fact that their mother is dead from them. Asteroid City isn't just the best film of 2023 for me. It's in my top 3 Wes Anderson movies. It's one of the best films that he's ever made, and if you've never seen a Wes Anderson movie, it also serves as an amazing entry point into his filmography. If you're out there and you can only watch one movie from 2023, watch Asteroid City. Well, that about does it for this video, guys. I'd love to hear what your favorite movies from 2023 are. Be sure to leave a comment and tell me what you saw this year that you liked, what you didn't like, and how you feel about my top 5 movies of the year. If you enjoyed this content and you want to see me make more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and Happy New Year. May your 2024 be a year filled with great films.